Good evening, everyone. Today, I'm going to share with you my knowledge about subject-verb agreement. So before we start our discussion, we have two objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the student must identify the relationship of subject and verb. Second is to know the importance of subject-verb agreement. We will start with the definition of verb and subject. Verb. So what is verb? Verb is an action word. Action word, for example, walk, run, eat, and etc. And what is subject? Subject is the one who performs the actions, or it could be the noun or the pronoun. What is noun, by the way? Noun is a name of a person, animal, place, or an event. And pronoun is the substitutes of noun, just like he, she, they, we, and us. In subject-verb agreement, we have this cardinal rule. This is important to note. So as the cardinal rule explains, that subject and verb must agree with numbers. So if the subject is singular, then the verb must be in a singular form. And then if the subject is plural, then the verb must be in plural form. In composing a sentence, you must note or remember the cardinal rule because it is the most important. So for the better explanation, I will give you examples of singular form and plural form. And here it goes. In cardinal rule, it was said that a singular subject must also have a singular verb. So the subject here is Anna, subject, and the verb is this, and it is in a singular form. In plural, we have Ben and Joel. So we have two subjects. So we are going to use are because there are two subjects. It is Ben and Joel. It is in the cardinal rule that a plural subject must also have a plural verb. So it shows in here. Hey, lucky you, because I will give you some tips so you can better understand subject-verb agreement. So number one tip. A verb agrees with its subjects. Always remember that. Then the next is the pronoun I, and if it takes in a singular form, it should be partnered with I was and I am. Partner with am and was. Then if the I takes in a plural form, then it should be partnered with have, because have is a plural form. Then the subject you takes the plural form of the verb, like you are and you were. Then the next is verb always agrees with the subject, just like the first tip. So we have examples here. I'll give you some examples. So let us examine. Number 1, I am beautiful. This sentence comes from the tip number 2, which is the I in a singular form. Then I partnered with am, singular form. Number 2, I have a crush on you. Then it is on the tip number 3 that the I partnered with the plural form have. Have. Number 3, you are amazing from the tip number 4. You must be partnered with plural form are. And same as the last example, you partnered with a plural form were. You were my favorite boy band. So that's the examples. So you better remember all those tips because it will give you some help in mastering the subject-verb agreement. Take all those tips. Important thing to remember in subject-verb agreement. First is the subject always determines the verb. Next is singular is one. So if the subject is singular, the verb has an S. For example, Anna plays at the playground. So the subject is Anna and it is in a singular form. Then the verb is plays. It has an S because it was said in the rule. Third, plural is two or more. So if the subject is plural, verb does not have an S. For example, boys do their homework. So the subject is boys and it is in plural form. Then the verb is do and it has not an S. Fourth, if the subject is I and you, the verb does not have an S. For example, I eat banana. You make me happy. And lastly, when the subject is he, she, it, or a name of a person, that's the time you use an S or you have to add an S. For example, she makes me happy. The subject is she, then as what the rule said, verbs should have an S. Then the verb is makes. Another example is he runs through the wall. So the subject is he, then the verb is runs. Another example, Joey climbs the tree. Joey is the subject and it is in a singular form. Then climbs should have an S. Words like mathematics, physics, news, ethics, and etc. looks like a plural form, but they are singular. And they should be partnered with a singular verb. So take these examples. The example, mathematics is my favorite subject. Mathematics looks like a plural form, but it is singular. So it must be partnered with singular verb is. Mathematics. Always remember that, guy. Lately, I gave you some tips of subject-verb agreement, and now I will give you the rule, the three rule that needed to be remembered. First, identify first the subject before you identify the verb. Then, if you identify the subject, then find the verb. And as we said lately, that the, the subject and the verb must agree with each other. And second, verb and subject of the sentence must agree in number. Agree in number means is it in a singular form or in a plural form. Then lastly, the verb adjusts the subject. Always remember that the verb adjusts the subject and and not the subject adjust with the verb. Always remember those rules because it is the most important. So we are in the last part of the discussion. So what did you observe? And for you, what is the importance of knowing, learning, and understanding subject-verb agreement? So for me, if you ask me what is the importance, so it is to avoid confusion with in terms with constructing a sentence. So we better understand and we better learn constructing correct sentences because it is important that in a sentence it should be in a correct way, in a correct pattern, and it has a correct yes, correct way. It should be in a correct manner. So summary of the discussion, remember guys that if we have a singular subject, then it should be partnered with a singular verb. And if we have a plural subject, then it should be partnered with a plural verb. Always remember that in constructing sentences. So, hope you learned something out from the discussion of today. Then, goodbye and see you in the next video.